What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rovardo, and the New York Giants were back at practice today, Monday morning, bright and early, getting ready for preseason week 2, following their preseason week 1 defeat at the hands of the Detroit Lions. Now, that Lions game had a lot of positive takeaways, which we broke down on the channel. Go back and check out our recent episodes discussing the game, but also they lost the game. There were some injuries, players that they lost to injury in the game as well. Not exactly the best performance from the Giants in their preseason opener, but there they go. On to week 2. Let's see who is on the injury report in today's episode and discuss what it means for the team as they head into their second preseason game. So we're going to break all that down. But before we do, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, let's break down the New York Giants injury report today. Now, the big one that we all want to know about is Evan Neal. Unfortunately, the second-year right tackle out of Alabama is still in the concussion protocol. He suffered a concussion last week during practice that forced him to miss the preseason opener. And at this point, Monday, he's still got some time to turn things around here, but it seems 50-50 whether or not he's going to be playing in the Giants' second preseason game. Now, hopefully he'll be around for sure by the third preseason game. I don't envision the concussion protocol lasting that long, especially considering the fact that he has actually progressed in the protocol. Brian Daboll said today that he has progressed to non-contact participation. So one step closer to making his return and being activated off of the concussion protocol. And as we all know, it's a big year for Evan Neal, a real struggle in his rookie season last year, surrendered 30-something pressures, 7 or so sacks. It was just a really tough year for him all around. He dealt with an injury halfway through that year. As we all remember, the MCL sprain that he suffered against the Jacksonville Jaguars, that hampered his ability. He said that, but this offseason, he's worked hard, lost a bunch of weight, added some muscle, changed his stance, was looking really good in training camp. And again, the injury is now setting him back. So hopefully he's able to make that return this upcoming Friday for the second preseason game that the Giants will play, because I think that Evan Neal needs as much practice against other teams as possible before we get into the regular season. This is a guy who, in my eyes, needs preseason playing time. So hopefully he's ready to go this upcoming Friday, and we could see Evan Neal make his return to the football field. Now, the second player that's pretty important to note on the injury report is Cor'Dale Flott, and it's important to note that he's being taken off the injury report. He was a full participant in practice today. If you all remember, he suffered an abdominal injury on a touchdown in last week's preseason game, but insignificant injury. He's back practicing this morning, so he'll be good to go for preseason week 2. And listen, Cor'Dale Flott, guys, turning heads, playing some damn good football, had a few really nice plays in that preseason game, and I think that he is the leading man to take over in the slot for the starting nickel corner job. Now, third player, again, another insignificant injury, not considered to be long-term, but still one to keep an eye on. Collin Johnson suffered a knee injury during last week's preseason game. He did not practice this morning, but he is close to returning to practice, head coach Brian Daboll said. So Collin Johnson, another one of these guys fighting for a roster spot in a loaded wide receiver room. We'll see if he's able to earn one of those final spots. It's going to be tough. You got guys like Cole Beasley, who looked really good in that preseason game, Jamison Crowder as well, and we all know Sterling Shepard. If you guys haven't seen that viral video of him from this morning cooking Trey Hawkins in practice, go ahead, check it out. It's on our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But dude, that was some route. Sterling Shepard looks like he's back in prime form, which I'm really excited about. So Collin Johnson, an uphill battle for this 6'6" wide receiver to make the roster, which is shocking considering all of the size that he has. You would think the Giants want more size in this room, but they have some damn good route runners still competing for spots. And with Collin Johnson injured, definitely hurts his chances of making the team. But we'll see if he's able to get healthy, come back in preseason week 2, hopefully put together a good performance and keep fighting for a roster spot. Now, another notable player returning to practice, DJ Davidson, is practicing for the first time this year today after he was activated off of the PUP list. Now, he had a knee injury last year, a season-ending knee injury. This is a rookie. I believe he was a 5th-round draft pick, defensive tackle for the Giants, a run-stuffing hog molly, and no, Giants fans don't like that term anymore from the Dave Gettleman era, but a big run-stuffing defensive tackle in the middle of the Giants defensive line. He's coming off of PUP. Let's see how he plays this preseason, because we know defensive line depth is an issue for the Giants. That is somewhere that they are very thin, so getting Davidson back at practice, that's a big boost to this team. Let's see what he can do. Now, the next player, another defensive lineman to discuss, is Rakeem Nunez-Roches. Nacho, as we like to call him. He had a car accident a few weeks ago that landed him in concussion protocol. He got out of concussion protocol, then suffered another injury, but it's pretty insignificant as it was with some of these other players that I mentioned. So Nacho on his way to returning to the football field here. He was doing some things at practice, wasn't a full participant, but a limited participant. We might see Nunez Roches get back on the field this upcoming week. If not, we should definitely see him by preseason week 3, and hopefully he is out there making a big impact in week 1 of the regular season, which we are really close to and I'm excited about. Now, there were a few other players that were not practicing as well. Devery Hamilton, Gary Brightwell, Cam Brown, and Tyree Phillips. And now, a couple of these guys, offensive lineman, Tyree Phillips, this is a player that we want to see get out there. We know that the Giants are having an open competition for that swing tackle spot with Evan Neal not playing right now in the concussion protocol. We've seen Matt Parrott take the majority of those first-team reps at right tackle, but Tyree Phillips played a good bit of right tackle for the Giants last year when Matt Parrott was out with injury during the regular season. So I think that Tyree Phillips is a player that could sneak his way onto this roster once again this season, but he's going to need to get healthy, make the most of these practices and opportunities here to hopefully beat out Matt Parrott for that roster spot. Now, you guys know I love Matt Parrott. I'm pulling for Matt Parrott. I want to see him earn that spot. And I will say he didn't look stellar in that preseason week 1 debut at right tackle, but there's still time for him to turn it around. And now with Tyree Phillips injured, the Giants might be forced to rely on Matt Parrott as their swing tackle for this upcoming season if Phillips isn't able to get healthy and turn things around before the end of the preseason. Now, Gary Brightwell is another player that I think is an interesting one to note on the injury report. I feel like the Giants are pretty thin at the running back position right now. Of course, we have Saquon Barkley, the superstar. He's going to be excellent this year. There's no question about that. But behind him, there is a lack of depth to me. Now, in some ways, you could say there's a good amount of depth, but in other ways, you could say it's not enough quality depth. A lot of these guys aren't good enough to go in there and start a full season if anything does happen to Saquon Barkley, right? Because you've got the rookie Eric Gray, who mixed reviews from Giants fans on him after preseason week 1. He only did kick returns and punt returns, whatever, but he didn't look too fast. He didn't break many tackles. His ball carrier vision wasn't the best. But again, his first NFL action, he's a rookie. I still have a lot of faith in the kid. Eric Gray is actually one of my favorite draft picks from this class. I think he could be a really solid player, but he needs time to develop. So I don't think the Giants could rely on him for a full regular season if they needed to this year. So he needs time to develop. But then you have Matt Breida, who, again, can they rely on Breida for a full season? In my opinion, probably not, but he is a good player. At one point in his career, yeah, he could be a 17-game starter for an NFL team. But at this point in his career, he's a backup who can rotate in there and help take some pressure off of Saquon Barkley's shoulders. That's really all that I envision from Matt Breida, though. And then Gary Brightwell, who's not practicing right now. This is a guy who scored touchdowns for the Giants on rare occasions last year. He worked in as a kick and punt returner for them as well. This is a guy that the Giants really need to get healthy, not only just to add depth and talent to that running back room, but also to special teams. And we all know after watching this most recent preseason game, the Giants need some work on special teams. That was a terrible outing by Thomas McGahee's unit in week 1 of the preseason. So Gary Brightwell, if he can go out there, get healthy, and compete on special teams, that would be a big boost to this team as well. Cam Brown is a player that I haven't heard much of in recent years. Honestly, I know that Cam Brown was a guy that the Giants drafted in the 5th round a few years ago. Athletic, freakish linebacker that was kind of a hybrid off-ball linebacker and an edge rusher, has some pass rushing capabilities, but throughout his career, he's mainly just made contributions on special teams. So again, the Giants, in need of special teamers, would like to see Cam Brown get healthy here. He can help out on the return coverage, hopefully go out there and make some good tackles. He has a lot of speed and athleticism and some really good tackling ability. So this is a player that the Giants are going to want to see get healthy as soon as possible. Now, the last guy on the list is Devery Hamilton, another one of these offensive linemen that's fighting for a roster spot. And right now, after watching that Giants offensive line play in week 1 of the preseason, there are spots up for grabs on the offensive line. Devery Hamilton, if he can get healthy, he can compete for one of those spots because there are guys out there like Tyree Phillips who really struggled, like Corey Cunningham, who, as Alex likes to say, should not be back on the football field anytime soon because he was so poor in that game, and guard Wyatt Davis also really struggled. So there are spots up for grabs on the Giants offensive line. They were putrid in week 1 of the preseason. So Devery Hamilton and Tyree Phillips, these guys are going to want to get healthy as soon as possible to take advantage of these open positions on the Giants offensive line. Now, are they starting positions? No, absolutely not. But they are important depth pieces. The Giants clearly do not have enough depth on their offensive line. So they need some of these guys who are injured, a little bit battered up here, to get healthy so that they can work in there as depth pieces and make an impact in those roles. That's going to be crucial for the Giants. But it was another good day of practice. Before I wrap this one up, I'll highlight some of the players who really stood out. And the first one being safety Dane Belton, second-year safety out of Iowa. He had an interception in week 1 of the preseason. Now, this is a guy who going into the summer, we thought he could maybe compete for a starting job. Instead, Jason Pinnock locked that one down really quickly, and we're all really, really excited about Pinnock right now. That guy's going to be the starting strong safety. He also had an interception in preseason week 1, but once he came out of the game, Belton went in, and he also got himself an interception. So the Giants are showing they have some pretty damn good depth here at the safety spot. Belton gets a pick today, takes it to the house. Pick 6 on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones doesn't throw pick 6s very often. In fact, last year he didn't throw interceptions very often. 1.1% of his passing attempts, the lowest rate in the NFL. So Dane Belton nabbing an interception of Jones and taking it to the crib. That's exciting stuff to hear from practice. As I mentioned earlier, Sterling Shepard had a great day. He's been looking really, really good. He looks like he's back in full form after that season-ending injury last year and the one prior. Looks like he's fully healthy now. I think he's a lock for a roster spot. I know that there's a lot of Giants fans who may disagree with me on that, but Sterling Shepard really cooking with gas right now at Giants practice, and I think that he's going to be impactful for the Giants once again in 2023. And one last player that I want to highlight is Micah McFadden. Now, the Giants opened up their first unofficial depth chart last week with Darian Beavers in the starting number 2 linebacker spot. Now, that was an interesting decision in my eyes. I know that Beavers has been playing really well at training camp, but lots of experience from Micah McFadden. He played all 17 games last year, looked good at times as a rookie, but also struggled. But I think there's a lot to develop there. So now we're looking at it again. Darian Beavers didn't play in preseason week 1. Is he fully healthy? I'm not sure. I don't know if they didn't play him because they view him as a locked-in starter or if it's because he has some sort of injury. We know that he had the season-ending injury last year. Working his way back from that could be the case. But now Micah McFadden took a lot of first-team snaps in today's practice and apparently is looking really good. He played really well in that preseason week 1 game for what it's worth. Only 14 snaps, but looked really good and solid in those snaps. So this position battle is still heating up here, guys. This is not determined. Like I said, it was an unofficial depth chart where Darian Beavers was listed with the first team. So McFadden still has a chance here to steal that position from Beavers. It's going to be really interesting to see how this position battle unfolds. But ultimately, I think it's just going to be matchup football. I think both of those guys are going to be the number 2 linebackers. You'll see Beavers start one game when they need a certain type of player versus a certain type of matchup, and you'll see Micah McFadden start another game when they need a different type of matchup. I think that's how the Giants defense is going to work this year, as discussed with Patricia Traina on last week. Go check out that episode as well. She said the Giants are all about playing matchup football on the defensive end this year. So I think that's what you're going to see ultimately with that linebacker spot. But a pretty good day for practice, at practice for the New York Giants today. Again, they're getting healthier. Still some players working back from injury, but they are getting healthier, and we're seeing some good things in preparation for this upcoming Week 2 preseason game, which I cannot wait for. And of course, we will be continuing to cover right here on Fireside Giants. So make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.
TVSO.